All right, good afternoon, or actually good morning, dear parents and community of Universal Academy. Welcome to Universal Academy Family Engagement broadcast. Today we have with us Miss Kuba. Ms. Kuba will be speaking about diabetes, diet, and physical activity. Ms. Kuba has 3 degrees in general studies, nursing and nutrition, and food science, and she recently joined Universal Academy at Hamad Educational Services as the school nutritionist and coordinator for the food services program. Welcome, Ms. Kuba.
Thank you, Mr. Sarfuddin. Hello, everyone. I hope that everyone is doing well. In today's presentation, we're going to be talking about diabetes, diet, and physical activity. So when we hear the word diabetes, we always think of these medical terminology or medical terms like it's a metabolic disease. It can be the reason for high blood glucose, sugar. We hear the word insulin, hospital, and all of these terms. So what is diabetes? Diabetes, it's considered as it's a very complex disease. It is a chronic condition, and it's a progressive metabolic disorder characterized by high levels of glucose in the blood. So usually, like we have two hormones that try to regulate our glucose levels, insulin and glucagon. These two hormones are produced by the pancreas. And in diabetic patients, it's either their body, like they cannot produce any or enough insulin to regulate the blood glucose levels. Sorry. So this can happen, and it can cause multiple complications. So right here, this is how a normal body function should be. Like in people without diabetes, the glucose stay in a healthy range because insulin is released at the right time with the right amount, and it enters the cells in order for our cells to produce energy and to convert that glucose, that sugar, into energy. Because glucose, it's the main fuel, that our body, it's the main fuel resource that our body use in order to produce energy. So right here, as this picture illustrates, we get the glucose from carbohydrates, so basically from the food we eat. It goes down through the bloodstream, And the pancreas, which is an organ located underneath and behind the stomach, it has beta cells and alpha cells which produce and release insulin and glucagon into our blood. So in normal conditions, these hormones like the insulin will try to take the glucose in order to help it enter the cells so it can be used for energy. And the remainder of the glucose that stays in the blood, it will be stored in the liver and in different muscles for later use. So it can be stored as glycogen. So whenever our body needs it, we'll be using it. However, with people who have diabetes, this usually does not happen. And there are multiple complications and health-threatening conditions that can occur. This can start from impaired carbohydrates metabolism, and which will eventually cause hyperglycemia. Then when we have a lot of sugar in our blood, our body will react and will try to get rid of it. So, and that can happen by urination. So, and when the glucose exits the body through our kidneys, because it is osmotically active, it will for sure, like the water for sure will follow it and will exit our body as well. And right here, a total dehydration can happen. There are also other short-term complications, like it becomes very hard for people with hyperglycemia, for them to heal properly and faster, like if they have any cuts or any wounds, it will be really, it will take a lot of time for their body to heal. And this can become a serious condition, and sometimes like amputations will happen. This means like when they cut somebody's leg, and there are also other conditions like acidosis and fatal hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia means when the blood glucose levels drops, and this usually happens really fast with people who have diabetes, and it can take them into coma. It can be life-threatening and sometimes fatal. They can die from this. Other long-term complications like blurry vision, blindness, kidney failure, heart disease, and other things can happen too. So this is what can happen like with people with hyperglycemia. There are many possible reasons. Either there is too little insulin made by the body, or there is insulin but our body cannot use it properly. Or in another case, our liver will be like releasing too much glucose into the bloodstream. The symptoms of hyperglycemia can vary from increased thirst to increased urinations, as we just discussed. Like the body, when it has a lot of sugar, it will try to get rid of it. So when the sugar exits the body, the water will follow it. This will cause frequent urination and dehydration as well. Blurry vision. There is also slow healing of wounds, as I just mentioned, and sudden weight loss as well. People, if they don't have enough glucose, their body will try like to break down fats and proteins from the muscles, so they will lose weight, and this is usually happens really fast because the body is in need of energy, and you will release glycogen, which is another hormone, and this will cause like the breakdown of fatty acids and proteins. A lot of people feel like numbness on their feet, their toes, and their hands, basically like the lower extremities, and always like feeling hungry and dehydrated. Many people like ignore those symptoms, and but we have to really be careful. So if anyone experience any of those symptoms, they really have to consult with their doctors or like dietitians and healthcare providers. Um, Types of diabetes, these are like the major types, like pre-diabetes, gestational diabetes, type 1 diabetes, and type 2 diabetes. Gestational diabetes, this usually occurs with pregnant women, and the risk factors of to happen are either family history of diabetes, overweight and obesity, the age. Sometimes if a woman gets pregnant like after a certain age, she could be at a higher risk. And this can, like, to have this gestational diabetes can put you at a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes after the pregnancy. Type 1 diabetes. This is only happen like about 5 to 10% of the people who are diagnosed with diabetes. They have type 1 diabetes. It is also known as juvenile diabetes, and it's usually diagnosed in childhood, but it can develop at any age. And sometimes there are no symptoms. It just happened like suddenly. And when this happens, when the body's immune system attacks those producing cells of insulin, like they go into the pancreas and they start attacking those beta cells that produce insulin. So either the body won't produce enough insulin or won't have any insulin at all. So this is not preventable. And patients with type 1 diabetes, they will need insulin daily to survive because their body needs the sugar. The sugar needs to enter the cells in order to produce energy. And if they don't have sugar, if the sugar didn't enter the cells because it didn't have the insulin, right there it can be life-threatening. So this is a serious condition. And patients have like to take it seriously. They need to take their insulin shots or medications like daily in order to survive. The causes, they're uncertain and very unclear. Some people like think it's due to a virus that attack our immune system, like when the body recognizes like there is a strange body, like a strange substance entering our body, it will attack it. So it can be also genetic. So if anyone has like a first degree relative who has diabetes, it is very likely that they will get type 1 diabetes, so they have to be careful. And also there are environmental factors that plays a role as well. For type 2 diabetes, it's the most common form of diabetes. About 95%, I would say 90 to 95% of all diagnosed cases of diabetes have type 2. This can develop at any age, and most cases can be prevented. So right here, the body produces insulin, but it does not use it properly, as this picture shows. So glucose doesn't enter the cells. It's like the body have like insulin resistance. So what happens, it piles up in the bloodstream, and this is usually the symptoms are often ignored because people, they think they are not that serious. Like if they feel like they're thirsty or they're eating a lot, they feel hungry very quick, or frequent urinations, people usually they just ignore those symptoms, and this can happen. This can lead to type 2 diabetes. So usually this type happens with patients who have metabolic syndrome, and in order to have this metabolic syndrome, you probably have 3 or more of these. Either your fasting glucose will be like equal or over 100 milligram per GL. Your HDL, which is the good cholesterol for females, will be either lower or equal to 50 milligrams per GL, and for males will be lower or equal to 40 milligrams per dl. Or this happens also with patients who have blood pressure of equal or greater than 130 over 85, or high BMI, people with high BMI, the body mass index of 35 and higher for females, which is very obese, and 40 and higher for males. So these metabolic syndrome are believed to be responsible for insulin resistance. These are the main things for our body to resist that insulin. So if we have any of those symptoms like high blood pressure, low HDL cholesterol, or if we have like our triglyceride elevated, or the fasting glucose over or equal to 100 milligrams per dl. There are also other components like genetics. It can play a role, or ethnicity, like Pacific Islanders, Hawaiian people, African Americans, especially like female African Americans. They are more prone to develop type 2 diabetes. So these are the non-modifiable risk factors for type 2 diabetes on the left side, which are the history of gestational diabetes. If a pregnant woman gets gestational diabetes, she is more likely to develop type 2 diabetes if she does not take precautions and ignore that. Race and ethnicity, the age over 45 years old, and the family history of diabetes. So there is basically nothing much we can do about these. The modifiable risk factors for type 2 diabetes are the physical inactivity. Usually people they spend a lot of time in front of screens. They're not physically active, overweight and obese. So this high body fat and or body weight, high blood pressure and high cholesterol. So these factors on the right, we can work on them in order to prevent type 2 diabetes. So the difference here between type 1 and type 2 is that in type 1, the body does not make or doesn't make enough insulin. This is just to recap. And our body needs insulin in order for the cells to let glucose in. For type 2 diabetes, we have insulin, but it's represented here as a K, but it doesn't fit. It does not bind to those receptors on the cells, so our body is not able to use it, or to use it properly, at least. When the diabetes is our blood glucose levels are not under control, this can lead to a number of further complications, including a stroke, eye disease. People will start to have cardiovascular diseases such as heart disease, kidney diseases, nerve damage, and diabetic foot, which can lead to amputations in some cases. This is how we can check our glucose levels. There are different tests that we can do, either the A1C test, or the fasting blood sugar test, or the glucose tolerance test. The A1C test measures your average blood glucose levels over the past 2 to 3 months, and which will give you a better idea on where you stand at. So for A1C below 5.7, it's right here. This is a normal condition. So if your A1C is below 5.7, you don't have diabetes and you are normal. It is 99 milligrams per dl or below for when you are fasting, and 140 milligrams per dl or below for the glucose tolerance test. between 5.7 and 6.4, this indicates that you have pre-diabetes, which falls into this category. And right here, this case, it can be preventable. Like if we put ourselves on a diabetic diet, if we take care of our health, consult with our physician on a regular basis, we can probably prevent this condition from becoming diabetes. Higher than 6.5 or above, when the A1C test gives those numbers, that means that you are diabetic and this is a chronic condition. That means it's not preventable anymore and you will live with it. So in order to prevent it, as I said, it is really recommended to follow a healthy diet, to keep your weight under control. Physical activity is recommended, and regular doctor's checkups. So this is how we can manage it. We can meal plans, educate the patients who have diabetes about the importance of addressing their symptoms, activity plans, medications. If someone developed type 1 diabetes, it is really necessary that they get their insulin. And even with type 2 diabetes, probably they will start giving them some pills, but at the end, the body wants our pancreas, even though in the beginning it will be making insulin or making enough insulin, but when the body does not use it, those cells, those beta cells at the pancreas will start shrinking, and they won't make enough insulin. So at some point, those patients, they will end up needing insulin as well. Checking up with the healthcare provider is essential, and daily food care and dental care, that's very important as well. So if a patient with diabetes have a tooth infection, we should not ignore it. It's very important that they go to their dentist so they can get some antibiotic and treat it on time before the situation gets complicated and become worse. The ABCs for diabetes, it's the A is for the A1C test that we just talked about to prevent strokes, cardiovascular diseases, kidney failure, and other complications. The B is for blood pressure, and this we really need to keep our blood pressure under control. The C for cholesterol. So it's really important to know the LDL levels, which are the bad cholesterol, and the HDL levels, which is the good cholesterol. The S stands for stop smoking. So if you are diabetic and you smoke, it's highly recommended that you try to quit smoking. You can call the 800 number Quit Now to get some help or consult with your medical physician. Healthy diet, it's really important as well. So a diabetic diet simply means eating everything in moderation, and try to stick with regular meal plans, meal times. The USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, recommends the My Plate guidelines. After the My Pyramid, they updated this 10 years ago to the My Plate because it makes it easier for people to visualize the portions and what they should be eating. So they recommend that half of our plate comes from fruits and vegetables, and with more vegetables than fruits. Almost a little over a quarter comes from grains, and it is highly recommended even for normal adults to get their grains. At least half of their grains will be whole grains. So we have to stay away from refined, highly processed white food like white pasta, white rice, white flour, and try to substitute those with whole grains. Here in our school, the other day I was talking to Ms. Saleh, our food coordinator, and she told me that specifically in this at Universal Academy, our students, they don't like the the white, they don't like the brown bread. So like we had to get a waiver in order to substitute that for the white bread. And this can happen probably because that's what the students are used to eat at home. So it's really important, like from the beginning, like to introduce a variety of food. Especially like for the kids, let them try different kinds of food. Probably like they won't like it in the beginning, but if like you introduce it in different ways, maybe they will give it a try and they will end up eating it. This is a healthier plan, and like it is recommended to get the proper amount of proteins and dairies as well, and keep our portions under control. And also, in order like to keep diabetes under control, it is highly important that we keep ourselves active by doing some physical activities. The World Health Organization, the American Heart Association, and the Human and Health Department all recommend that we get at least 150 minutes a week, which is equivalent to 2.5 hours per week of moderate to vigorous activity. Like if we do vigorous activity, it would probably be less, about like 75 minutes. But it's highly important like that we exercise, we work out for at least, we can do that in sessions, like we can do 50 minutes 3 times per week, so to maintain a healthy life. Treatment of diabetes, early diagnosis is very important. This pays off by providing a better quality life, that prevents all of those complications, increase productivity, and decrease the long-term cost of diabetes that can happen if we get into those complications. Because if a patient like develop a cardiovascular disease or start having like neuropathy or kidney failure and stuff like that, they're gonna end up at the hospital and spending a lot of money than they should if they try like to be on the healthy side. Thank you everyone for watching this presentation, and I will be happy to welcome any questions that you have.
Thank you, Ms. Kuba, for this presentation. Can we go just over some concepts, maybe perhaps in Arabic, for our parents who don't speak English? Just some of the main concepts that you've mentioned there in your presentation, if we can go over them a little bit in Arabic.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. So باللغة العربية يعني الجسم يحتاج إلى السكريات أو النشويات حتى يحولها لطاقة. هون يعني الأنسولين اللي هي هرمون بيفرزها البنكرياس في الجسم بتساعد الجليكوز اللي هو نوع من أنواع السكريات حتى يفوتوا على الخلية. مثل هالصورة يعني فينا نشوف هون إنه بناخذ النشويات من الأكل. البنكرياس هون بيفرز الأنسولين اللي هي الهرمون، وبيحاول يساعد هذه الجليكوز الشوجر حتى تفوت على الخلايا، لأنه الخلايا بتحتاج السكر حتى تنتج الطاقة. لو في زيادة من نسبة السكر في الدم، الجسم بياخذها ويعني بيخبيها مثل ستورج، بيخليها في الليفر وفي الأذر يعني muscles، خلايا ثانية من الجسم، مثل الخلايا الدهنية مثلا. يعني المرض السكري فيه يسبب مشاكل صحية، وهالمشاكل ممكن تكون خطرة جدا، يعني مثل يعني لو إنسان بيصير عنده high blood level، يعني نسبة السكري مرتفعة جدا في الدم، هذا ممكن أنه يسبب له كثير من المشاكل الصحية، مثل مرض الكلى، بيصير يعني مرض البصر، بيصير ما بيشوف منيح، أو يعني الأعصاب بتصير ثن، وهيك يعني بتصير مشاكل يعني متعددة. وهذا يعني بيكون يا إما لأنه الجسم ما بيفرز هذا الإنسولين، هذا البنكرياس يعني هو مثل الجهاز المناعة، بيصير يعني attacks، بيهاجم الخلايا هذم اللي موجودين في البنكرياس، يعني يصيروا ما بينتجوا هرمون الأنسولين. فلما بينخفض نسبة هذه الهرمون بالدم، بيصير نسبة السكر يعني ما فيها تفوت على خلايا الجسم حتى تورد الطاقة، فبتصير ترتفع نسبة السكر بالدم. هذه بعض الأعراض لارتفاع نسبة السكر في الدم. الإنسان بيصير بيحس بالعطش، بتصير عنده يعني استعمال الحمام بصفة كثيفة، يعني الرؤية بتصير متضببة، ما بيشوف منيح. they can also يعني بيكونوا بيحسوا بالخمول وبالتعب طول الوقت، دايما يعني بيكونوا بدهم ياكلوا حتى أكثر من لازم. بتصير dehydration، يعني نسبة المية بالدم أو بالجسم بتنخفض. وكمان ممكن إنهم بيكونوا الناس بيخسروا كتير وزن يعني بصفة مفاجئة، فهذه كلها من أعراض مرض السكري. أو ساعات يعني بيحسوا إنه في numbness or tingling، يعني ما بيحسوا بالlower extremities، يعني بالأصابعهم أو هيك شيء. هون هذه أنواع مرض السكري، النوع الأول والنوع الثاني، وهذا النوع اللي بيجي وقت الحمل gestational diabetes، والبري diabetes اللي هي لما الإنسان يكون يعني قريب، الأعداد تبعه قريبة جدا من أنه يصير عنده مرض السكري. يعني هذه بعض الأسباب إنه المرأة لما تكون حامل بيصير لها هذا الارتفاع في مرض السكري، ارتفاع نسبة السكر بالدم، إنه يمكن بتكون عندها وزن زيادة، أو يمكن العمر بتكون يعني كبيرة في العمر، ولا بتكون عندها يعني history، حدا في العائلة عنده يعني هذا مرض السكري. فهون لازم تكون حذرة جدا، وترجع يعني تاخذ أكل صحي وتعمل تمارين رياضية حتى ما يصير عندها مرض السكري بعد الولادة. النوع الأول هو النوع الأول تبع مرض السكري. فقط من 5 إلى 10% من الناس اللي عندهم مرض السكري عندهم هذا النوع، واللي هو هون إنه الجسم ما عنده ما يعني الخلايا اللي بتنتج الأنسولين، هرمون الأنسولين اللي بتعدل نسبة السكر بالدم، بتكون منعدمة. يعني الخلايا هاي بيحصل لها دامج. هون يعني بتصير الجسم ما عاد يفرز أنسولين، هرمون الأنسولين، ولا ما عاد فيه كفاية أنسولين اللي الجسم يحتاجه. فهذه يعني النوع هذا ما فينا نسوي ولا شيء، it's not preventable. يعني اللي بيجيه النوع هذا تبع الدايبيتيز فيه بس إنه ياخذ الإبر تبع الأنسولين، والأسباب لسه يعني مش معروفة 100%. ما يمكن بتكون ناتجة عن فيروس بيفوت على الجسم، فجهاز المناعة بيهاجم هذا الفيروس وبيصير يدمر خلايا البيتا سيلز الموجودين في البنكرياس، ولا بتكون سبب وراثي، يعني إنسان عنده حدا بالعائلة قريب مثل أب أو أم ولا أخته ولا أخوه عنده مرض السكري، ولا ممكن تكون يعني جوانب ثانية مثل مثلا العنصر، الريس، ولا يعني هاي ممكن كمان تكون ناتجة عن أشياء ثانية. النوع الثاني تبع الدايبيتيز اللي هو معظم الناس اللي عندها مرض السكري بيكونوا عندهم النوع الثاني بنسبة 90 إلى 95% من كل الناس اللي عندهم مرض السكري. هون الجسم بيفرز الأنسولين، يعني عندنا هرمون الأنسولين، لكن الجسم ما بيصير يقدر يستخدمها الأنسولين بطريقة جيدة، يعني في ريزيستنس، في معارضة يعني من الجسم إنه ما بده يقبل هرمون الأنسولين حتى يخلي السكر يفوت على الخلايا لإنتاج الطاقة، فبيتراكم السكر كله بالدم. وهذه عادة يعني بتكون عند الناس اللي عندهم يعني ارتفاع في الوزن، مرض السمنة، الناس اللي عندهم يعني لما بيروحوا يحللوا بيلاقيوا نسبة الفاستنج جليكوز لما يكونوا صايمين، نسبة السكر بالدم بتكون مرتفعة زائدة على 100 ملغ بار دي ال، ولا نسبة التريغلايسيرايدز مرتفعة كمان بالدم، ونسبة الكوليسترول اللي هو في نوعين من الكوليسترول، في الكوليسترول اللي هو الجيد وفي الكوليسترول اللي هو مو منيح يعني. فنسبة الكوليسترول الجيد اللي الجسم يحتاجها بتكون منخفضة عند النساء بنسبة أقل أو معادلة ل 50 ملغ بار دي ال، وعند الرجال بنسبة أقل أو معادلة ل 40 ملغ بار دي ال. بتكون نسبة ضغط الدم مرتفعة تفوق 130 على 85 أو معادلة لهذا الرقم. والناس اللي معاهم BMI اللي هو البادي ماس اندكس تبعهم مرتفع عند النساء فوق 35 وعند الرجال فوق 40. هذم بيكونوا أكثر عرضة للتايب 2 دايبيتيز. وإلا في الأسباب الثانية مثل ما ذكرنا سابقا مع التايب 1 دايبيتيز اللي هي الأسباب الوراثية ولا أسباب الإثنيسيتي، يعني العنصر تبعهم. هذه اللي على اليمين الأشياء اللي فينا نغيرها حتى إنه ما يصير عندنا تايب 2 دايبيتيز. يعني بنحاول نمارس الرياضة، نعمل تمارين رياضية، كمان يعني بنخفف الوزن، بنحاول إنه نخلي الهاي بلاد بريشر تبعنا يعني ننزلها لو عندنا ضغط دم مرتفع. في دايت اسمها داش دايت بالنسبة للناس اللي عندهم ضغط دم مرتفع، اللي هي بتنكتب يعني بالإنجليزي DASH. وهي الدايت يعني بتنصح إنه نبتعد عن اللحوم الحمراء والفات، يعني الساتوريتد فاتس والترانس فاتس، وبناكل يعني بس في الحليب ومشتقات الحليب بنحاول ناخذ اللي هي لو فات ما فيها كثير دهون، ونحاول يعني نقلل نسبة الكوليسترول اللي هو ال LDL كوليسترول بالدم. فهذه بعض المقارنة بين النوع الأول والنوع الثاني. مثل ما قلنا النوع الأول الجسم ما عنده أنسولين حتى يخلي السكر يفوت على الخلايا، يعني هون شفتوا ما في مفتاح، يعني الأنسولين هي مثل المفتاح، فالخلايا ما فيها تقبل السكر حتى تولد الطاقة، يعني السكر حيتراكم بالدم وبيصير عنا يعني نسبة السكر بالدم مرتفعة جدا. النوع الثاني اللي هو عندنا الأنسولين، عندنا هرمون الأنسولين اللي هي هون بتمثل في الصورة المفتاح، لكن هذا المفتاح ما يقدر يفتح الخلية لأنه وهي يعني بتصير معارضة من الجسم إنه ما فيه يستعمل هاي الأنسولين مثل ما لازم يستعملها. النوعين ممكن إنهم يعني لو ما بنعالجهم، لو ما بناخذ حذرنا، ممكن إنهم يسببوا مشاكل صحية مثل الجلطة، مثل يعني الرؤية مثلا، بتصير مشاكل بالرؤية، أمراض القلب، أمراض الكلى والنيرفز يعني والدايبيتيك فوت. هذا يعني كيف فينا نعرف هذا من يعني التحاليل الطبية اللي ممكن نعملها حتى نعرف الوضع تبعنا. يعني لو في عنا symptoms أعراض لازم نروح عند الدكتور ولا أخصائي التغذية وبنسأل يعني إنه يعمل لنا هذا التست A1C تيست، ولا بنروح صايمين وإحنا صايمين وبنحلل نسبة الدم يعني نسبة السكر بالدم، وإلا الجليكوز توليرانس تيست، يعني كيف جسمنا بيستخدم في هذا السكر، هل يعني الأنسولين وكله بيشتغل مثل ما لازم ولا لا. فهذه هي النسب اللي بتخلينا نعرف شو احنا الوضع اللي فيه. لو بنكون بري دايابيتكس لازم ناخد حذرنا، لازم مثل ما حكينا نعمل رياضة، ناكل أكل صحي حتى ما نصير دايابيتك. لو الإنسان بيكون بيدخن كمان هذا الشيء مهم جدا، بيحاول إنه يوقف التدخين حتى يكون يعني بيتابع صحة جيدة وما يخلي إنه هالأعراض تزيد تتعقد يعني وبتصير تنتج عنها أمراض أخطر. حتى فينا نعمل هذا يعني إنه بنعرف شو بناكل، الاكتيفيتي بلان تبعنا نحاول انه نتحرك اكثر. لو بنعرف حدا يعني عنده مرض السكري we try to educate him، يعني نحاول ان نحكي له على مرض السكري، على الاخطار الناتجة عنه، الميديكيشنز. لو انسان بياخذ ادوية لازم يكون حريص يعني على اوقات الادوية، يكون ياخذها بانتظام، بيستشير الدكتور او اخصائي التغذية، دايما يعني بيروح على فحوصات للمراقبة، ويهتم بالصحة يعني بشكل عام مثل الدانتست، طبيب الأسنان، طبيب الجلد، لأنه اللي بيصير عنده يعني مرض السكري بيصير من الصعب إنه يشفى بسهولة، أو خاصة لو بتصير فيه تعقيدات. هون هذه يعني منظمة الصحة العالمية واليو اس ديبارتمنت يعني of agriculture، وزارة الفلاحة في أمريكا، يعني بيقولوا إنه من المستحسن اتباع هذا الماي بليت جايدلاينز، لأنه بتعطينا فكرة على إنه لازم نصف الصحن تبعنا بيكون متكون من خضار وغلال، والنصف الثاني من يعني الربع، أكثر شوي من ربع من الحبوب، ونحاول ناخذ هذه الحبوب كاملة، والبروتينات، وكمان الحليب ومشتقاته. يعني نحاول إنه نخلي هذه يعني الكمية تبع الأكل بتكون متوازنة، ناكل من كل شيء، ما نحرم أنفسنا، ولكن نحاول نركز على الأشياء الصحية، بنبعد على المنتجات اللي فيها كثير من السكريات، يعني الأدد شوجرز اللي بيزيدوها. بنقرأ الليبلز على الأكل، يعني قبل ما نشتري نقرأ كمية السكر الموجودة في الأكل أو في الجوس أو يعني أي شيء بنشتريه، نحاول إنه نكون يقينين حتى نعرف شو فيه وشو بدنا ناكل. يعني الكمية مهمة، إنه ما بناكل أكثر من اللازم وما بناكل أقل من اللازم. ولا الفيزيكال اكتيفيتي يعني عمل تمارين رياضية، وإنه نقعد في صحة جيدة وبنتبع نظام غذائي جيد مهم جدا، حتى يعني إن نخلي أنفسنا في صحة جيدة. من المستحسن يعني أول ما تظهر علينا هالعلامات بنروح نعمل consultation مع الدكتور أو أخصائي الصحة، حتى ما تصير عنا مشاكل يعني بعدين في الحياة، ما ينجر عنها ذهاب للمستشفى، أو يعني بنصير عنا قدرة للإنتاجية أحسن وحياة أفضل. وشكرا لكم.
Thank you, Ms. Kuba, and I hope that now we have this presentation in Arabic and English, and it will be shared by those who would like to, share this information with whoever needs it. Thank you again, and for our parents and community, Ms. Kuba is available. She's a nutritionist and coordinator for the food services program at Universal Academy. If you have any question for her, please feel free to contact the school at Universal Academy. Before we end the program, I wanted to let you know that tomorrow will be the last day of school, June 17, and it will be a half a day, so it will have a Friday schedule, although it's a Thursday, and it will end as half days end at about 12:25. Also, I wanted to inform you that the chess club will continue virtually during summer, so feel free to join the chess club. Here's a little video of that. So to join chess club, if the student is not already a member of the chess club, just go to this link that I will be leaving in the comments. And finally, congratulations for the kindergartners for their graduation today. If you have, if you follow Universal Academy Instagram, you'll see some of the photos posted today from the event. Beautiful decorations as usual by the UA team and Ms. Saleh, and it was a beautiful celebration in this beautiful weather. And with that, we come to an end of our broadcast. See you again, and have a beautiful rest of your week.
Thank you. Have a good day.
HES Academies have been serving the Detroit metro area for over 23 years, promoting academic excellence, leadership, and cultural diversity, ranking as some of the top schools in the state of Michigan. Our pre-K through 12th grade students enjoy tuition-free, state-accredited education by STEM certified and highly qualified staff with no geographical restrictions, and with advanced placement, college dual enrollment, scholarship, and Arabic language programs. Noor International Academy in Sterling Heights at niapsa.org, Star International Academy in Dearborn Heights and in Canton at starpsa.org, Universal Academy in Detroit at universalpsa.org, and Universal Learning Academy in Westland at ulapsa.org. Join HES Academies today and enjoy a free Chromebook for every enrolled student.